in a language. That's first thing, that you don't just bring words together to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. You don't just arrange them haphazardly or coordinate them anyhow. There is a system. There is a pattern. There is a format that your language must follow. You realize before you think, you combine some sounds to form some words. You combine some words to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. And you do all these unconsciously. And that is why your listener can understand you and also respond through the system of feedback. So if you don't arrange your words in the appropriate order, there will be a problem. So that system, the way you arrange your word, is what is known as syntax. The second point I make here is that arrangement of words into a meaningful unit. Syntax is a system of ordering a language. How you order any elements in language. Then number two, how you arrange words into a meaningful unit. You don't just arrange words anyhow or carelessly. For you to talk of making a meaningful expression, you want to say a beautiful lady standing over there. You cannot just say lady A standing beautiful there over. You realize that the meaning will not come out of that unit. And that's why we call it arrangement of words into a meaningful unit. Syntax will guide you on how you arrange your words to make meaning in language. The next point is that it can be referred as a relationship that makes structure of a language meaningful. Syntax could be referred to the relationship, that relationship among words, among phrases, among clauses in their structure. Which word should come first? Which one should follow? Which one should be the next? In order to achieve a meaningful use of language. So without understanding the nature of syntax, we may not understand that relationship, because there is a relationship in the language that combines the words to make them meaningful. Before you choose any adjective to modify a noun or qualify it, that adjective must start something that connects it to the noun. If there is nothing that connects that adjective to the noun, they cannot go together. They violate the syntactic order. Find is an adjective. An adjective modifies a noun. But there should be a particular adjective that has something in common with that noun. And for you to use adverb and verb, that adverb must have something in common with that verb before they can go together. Not just any adverb anyhow with any verb. Not just because any adjective anyhow with any noun. There must be a relationship between them. So aside that, another point you can take concerning syntax is that it has to do with structural patterns that distinguish phrases from clauses in sentences. It has to do with structural pattern. That is, it will help you to understand that this is a phrase. A phrase is different from a clause. Because you cannot be talking about a phrase and be talking about subjects and predicates. But rather the phrase will give you something like head word and modifier. Please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. So a phrase will give you head word, modifier, pre-modifier, post-modifier. It will be talking about the subjects, the verb, the adjunct, complement. No. Syntax helps us to understand the nature of phrases from the nature of clauses within the sentence, so that we don't have problem in our writing. Another point that we may need to take note of in syntax is that it is the organization of linguistic elements. It is the organization of linguistic elements into constituent units that make up a sentence. What do we mean by these linguistic elements? Different words, morphemes. How do you organize them, arrange them to make a unit in order to produce the units that can be combined to form sentence? So we need to combine them together to make units, and the units must give us meaningful sentence. So syntax has a lot to do with language, its structure and meaning. Now, you need to know that every language has a system of grammar called syntax, meaning that syntax is a system of grammar, because grammar goes beyond syntax. If you are to examine grammar properly, we have morphology and syntax. Syntax is just an aspect of grammar, while morphology is another aspect of grammar. And I bet that this first semester we are going to do morphology also. Those are the two core aspects of grammar. And every language has a system of grammar called syntax. So you can say that syntax is an aspect of grammar that is concerned with combination of words into sentence. Note that syntax is an aspect of grammar that is concerned with combination of words into sentence. It deals with how you combine words to form a sentence. As small as she sits, I eat, he ran, as small as they appear to be, and to the level of very complex and long sentences. That's what syntax deals with. How you combine different words to form a sentence. And syntax is characterized by a peculiar word order. Peculiar word order and meaning mechanism. Peculiar word order and meaning mechanism. What do we mean by this? Peculiar word order has to do with there is a particular way, pattern in which you must arrange the word. You can't just arrange the word carelessly or anyhow. And in that word order must produce meaning mechanism. When you arrange the words together, those words must give you meaning. They must give you meaning, either by combining the meaning of the first word to the second word, to the third word, to the final word. So syntax shows that there must be word order. The word order must produce system of meaning. Another thing you need to take note of is that grammatical structure must convey meaning and display internal relationship. Grammatical structure must convey meaning and display internal relationship. That is, it must show meaning. And before the meaning can be achieved, there must be some internal relationship. The words must have some connectivity underlying it, because that internal relationship is crucial. You can't just arrange words anyhow. They must connect. There must be a collocative relationship, associative relationship among the words before they can bring meaning. Because if you deviate from that relationship, what you construct will be known as ungrammatical expression. And that's why I said that deviation from this relationship constitutes ungrammaticality. And there's a quotation I have here from Dadzi 2004, page 231. Because I observed that definition actually explore, that question explore the real meaning of syntax. That is said that syntax includes not only the word order in a sentence, in a language. Syntax includes not only the word order in a sentence, in a language. That is, in a sentence, there must be word order. See, that's not the only thing that syntax has to do with. Does not mean only word order. It has more than that. It means more than that. That word order is observed in a sentence and in a language, meaning that every language has its own word order that you observe in the sentence of that language. But that's not the only meaning of syntax, but also the internal organization of the words. Internal organization of the words. Look at that phrase. Internal organization of the, that is, the words have internal arrangements. They have internal organization in construction of the sentence. In forming the word order, there are some relationship. There are some internal organization saying, showing how the choice of one item, listen, showing how the choice of one item influences the choice of the forms of the other words. Listen, it does not say how the choice of one item influences the choice of other items. No. You see how the choice of one item, one word, influences the choice of the forms, meaning that the words have different forms in the sentence. That is, for example, let's look at this. When you are looking at the form of a noun, we have singular noun. Do you agree with me? We have plural noun. We have singular possessive noun. We have plural possessive noun. If you choose a noun, if you choose the singular, if the form of that noun is singular, you know the verb to choose. The word you are choosing as a noun must affect or influence the form of the verb. You cannot choose a singular form of the noun and go ahead to choose a plural form of the verb. No, one thing influences another. Let's assume you have a boy or a man, a car. You want to make a sentence. You cannot just pick the verb carelessly. A boy, you cannot say a boy paid the money or the boy paid the money. You cannot say that because the pay contradicts the choice of the boy that you made. Then that choice of the boy will influence the form of the verb. That the form you need to take is the form with S, which is what the third person singular. You can say the boy pays the money. Making the choice of the one without S will contradict. And when you are looking at different forms of the verb also, we have the base form, ing form, ed participle form, the third person singular, the S form. You need to know the choice to make out of all these elements. So because that will show the relationship that bind them together to form acceptable sentence. If the choice of your noun does not influence the choice of the verb, you don't have sentence. It must influence. And that's why we can talk about concord, agreement between the subject and verb. You want to use an adjective. Your choice of noun must influence the nature of the adjective that must go with it before it can be acceptable. I hope I'm clear. Or if you have a question here, you can raise your hand so that we address it before we move. I don't want us just to give everything and end up being confused. Is there any question at this level? If there is, just raise the hand so that we can quickly look at it. Any question? Okay, if there's none, let's proceed. So another point you need to note is that syntax is mostly used with grammar. Syntax is mostly used instead of grammar. Like I told you, they are different. Grammar is wider than syntax. Syntax just help us to achieve grammaticality. And you should know that language and grammar are entrenched in each other. Every language has its grammar. And that's what guides the usage. So if you are studying a language, you must realize that the language has its grammar. And grammar is any use of language. It's usage of any language. And has to do with rules governing how language should be used at all levels or whatever it is. So grammar is crucial in the nature of language. You need to note that. Then meaning is also a component part of grammar, like I said earlier. A sentence that makes sense is grammatical, but the one that does not make sense is not grammatical. Look at the example I have here. He found his pen. He found his pen. We realize that this sentence makes sense. Why? Because the choice of he agrees with the choice of found. The choice of is agree with the choice of pen. And is here agree with the choice of he. But look at the second example. Pen is found in. That has no meaning, does not make sense, because it is not well arranged. And the grammar is a system that helps us to guide us on how we need to arrange words to form sentences, include the use of morphemes and every other element. And one thing you need to note is that grammar serves as a link between phonology and semantics. Grammar serves as a link between phonology and semantics. You know, phonology has to do with sound, production of sound, realization of sound. The sound you are realizing, how can you use them to produce meaning? Those sounds you are realizing, producing, how do you combine them to form meaning? And that is what we call grammar of phonology. Grammar of phonology. And part of it is part of what we call a morphology. I've forgotten the particular terminology used for it. Grammar of phonology. That will show you how to arrange sounds to make meaning. And like you mentioned, grammar studies how words and morphemes are joined to form sentences. How words and morphemes are joined to form sentences. If you look critically, when we are talking about grammatical errors, it is not actually the syntax that causes the problem. It is morphemes. Because if you remove S from pora, it's a morpheme you remove, not a word. He travels. You now say he travel. The S you remove is a morpheme. Here you arrange it where he is the subject, travel is the verb. The arrangement ordering is correct. But in the ordering, something is missing. Something is missing. A morpheme has been removed. And that's why morpheme is crucial when we are talking about grammar, because it goes a long way to determine the nature of grammar itself and how we are supposed to use it. If you have good command, if you understand morphemes, you realize that most of the problems we have with grammar will be solved. You will know where to apply particular morpheme. Using the past form of a verb, you should know whether the verb is regular verb or irregular. If it's a regular verb, we know you need to use ed to form the past form. And if it is irregular form, you actually need to get the pattern, the format, or the form of the regular one to choose. You can't just say because ed can form the past tense of a form, you apply it to everything. No, it doesn't work that way. So grammar has to do with sets of rules that guide how language should be used. And syntax is essential ingredient in grammar. Is an essential ingredient. From Greek origin, syntax means a setting out together or arrangement. How we arrange things, set them together. So it's the ordering of component part of the structure of a sentence. And it focuses on how words are combined to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. How you arrange the words to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. Because if you don't master the organization and the combination, there might be some issues. So we can say that a syntactic analysis is the analysis of the ordering arrangement of elements in the linear structure of a sentence. When you engage in doing a syntactic analysis, that is, you're analyzing how elements are arranged to form a meaningful structure. That is, you must account for every word in that sentence and show the relationship among them. You must account for every word and show the relationship among them before you can actually achieve the goal of your sentence. So that is that about syntax. Now, if you have any question on syntax, you can raise your hand. Any question? Any question? Because you will meet syntax as you progress. You are doing this first semester. When you get to year 3, there's another one you still do again. First semester, another one, second semester. It's part of the structure that will enhance you on how to handle grammatical issues. And you do it successfully. So any question, any question, any question? If you have any question, just indicate with the raise of hands. So you mean there is no question? We understood everything and it's clear to us. So if there is no question, I would really appreciate you for responding to the class within the shortest period and making it interesting and cooperating, because your cooperation goes a long way to help us. So thank you for being part of the class. You can mute your phone before we bring the class to a close. I'll mute your mic if there's anything you need to. But if there's nothing to communicate, so let's call it a day. I really appreciate your time.
Sir, can we get the slides for the class?
Hello?
Yes. Yes, I mean, can we get the slides for the the slides you used.
Something will still be done.
Okay.
By the time LMS is open, we need to upload it on LMS. So you are expected to go there to study the slides. So we need to upload it on LMS, Learning Module System, which university has applied, because they need your presence on that LMS platform. Now, we don't have access to it in the department here. But very soon, when you register your courses, you'll be able to have access to LMS. So you get some of the lecture notes there. So that's
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to find out.
Hello. I asked those who have questions to raise their hand so that there won't be noise. So please, so that let's mute. Ashwaju, I'm listening to you. Let's mute our mic. Others, please. So
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. I just want to find out, if we go to your page on YouTube, can we find the videos of this current class?
I've not actually done it. When I do something there, I will upload it on my page. But normal thing, this current
We'll be waiting for that.
Is being recorded as Zoom. If there is a means we can get it across to LMS or where you can just view it again, it will be done. It will be done because we are trying to make it available. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Suggestion?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So if there is no more contribution or question, I may need to bring the class to a close so that you can go and do other things we are supposed to do. But we are going to decide whether you should be using this time for this course, or we need to do something else. So we need to do that later. And if the time is okay for everybody, both a day and evening student, we can continue. But if it's not so okay for evening students, please just let me know so that we can adjust. Because I'm not interested in fighting with anybody over space or whatever. So thank you very much for being there and your understanding. So we meet next week by God's grace. So thank you and take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
That's why I did baby. Very toxic.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mute your mic.
Sorry.